Well, to you it might have been a day, an hour, a minute, or a second, but it was almost 2 months for comp cams to get that camshaft back to me. So we did find out that the camshaft was built wrong, and comp cam sent me another one, but in Canada, and also probably just part supply issues and labor supply issues, that takes a while. So we've had quite a few other things going on, but we're back at this right now. So the new camshaft has arrived. We've kind of got a clean start here again. We're back with this same problem. So we're going to put that cam in there, check her timing, and put it all back together. Catching up here. So right now it has run. It has been to the dyno. Sorry I didn't get any footage on that. It was just one of those last minute things. And it made good power. I'll try to find the dyno chart and post it here while I'm talking. But that dyno run worked out okay. Now remember, we have stage 2 comp cams designed for a positive displacement supercharger that is not in yet. And we're going to see how far we can go without it. And we have a Gen 1 intake, which obviously looks nice, but not great for flow. We have Gen 1 heads that are stock minus just new valves and Boss 302 valve springs. And we have stock lightly modified to fit the Foxbody, but stock 2014 Mustang headers with high flow cats and dual 3-inch exhaust. So realistically, it's mostly stock. We got a Gen 3 bottom end with mal drop-in forged pistons, so we're still should be around or a tick over 12 compression, which would be an upgrade versus a stock Coyote Gen 1. But otherwise, that went pretty well. As you can see from the dyno, it actually made pretty good power. That's rear wheel through in third gear. And I use third gear because we got 308 gears in the back. And these tires have been around for a while, and I wasn't comfortable spinning them to 160 miles an hour plus or whatever it would be with whatever 7,800 RPM in fourth with 308 gears is. I think it's higher than that. Anyways, too fast for those old pieces of rubber. So I brought it back home. I am fighting a bit of an engine noise. I have a chirp type squeak that sounds like a belt chirp, but it's there when the belt's gone. It could be, I don't know, timing. I've had the oil pan off since. Check for interference there. There's no metal in it. I got a little black dust, like basically I think it's guide material from the chains. I've had the covers off. So anyways, we'll investigate that chirp more, but it didn't get any worse after the dyno session, so I'm ignoring it for now. Solid technique, eh? So now we're rewiring. Not rewiring, we're starting to finish more wiring. So I've got the Holley 12.3-inch digital dash going in. And this dash is kind of rigged up to the factory cluster bit back, and it bolts in. It's pretty fitted. It bolts in there. So now I'm just getting it all wired before the dash goes in. This way you should wire it without the actual dash stuff in the way. And I'm wiring all the accessory stuff that wasn't finished to make it run. So we have things like line lock and shifter buttons and I don't know, got a list of things here I'm going through. I'm going to have some interesting controls, basically using brake switch inputs, clutch switch inputs, all going into the Holley EFI. We're fully over to Dominator right now, and we're going to be using a lot of extra outputs. Yeah, that's like mid update. I'll get some little bit more footage here yet of the interior after it starts to look like something, and I get the dash back in it, and should be pretty cool. I think we'll have a lot of fun shifting this. I'm working on a rear diff swap. I've got to just change the gears, and I've got 411s to replace the 308s because that's just wrong for a Coyote. But having a terrible body and terrible paint means you can put stuff on the roof when you're at a room. And you can see, isn't that pretty rust? Isn't that nice? It's funny, that rust was on this car when I bought it 20-some years ago. It hasn't run a winter since, and it barely got any worse. So, yeah. And today we had our laptop going. So one of the reasons why the wiring on this car is taking so long is that I'm trying to actually document it. Now, if you have ever been trying to rewire a car and you kind of just did it the fastest way possible, then it doesn't look that good, but it'll tie up yet. This is just layout stage. I lay everything out and wire it up before I tie everything up. And anyways, what let's just restart my PC here. So I've tried to document all my wiring enough that I have a chance to repair it in the future. Or if someone else ever bought the car, they wouldn't be completely lost. Because I'm making a custom drive-by wire harness out of a GM harness, so we'll see if that was worth it. We're using a GM gas pedal. See if Holly cares. I don't think it does. And yeah, so what I've been trying to do is, so the idea behind this car setup is that the Dominator EFI, which has many inputs and outputs extra, is actually in charge of almost everything, including the air conditioning. So that little button on the shifter, it doesn't go to the line lock. It goes to the Dominator ECU. The Dominator ECU decides on conditions that are good to have a line lock happen, and a line lock relay is in this box, and then it goes to the line lock under the hood. And the same thing goes, like I've even included these. I can use the stock cruise control buttons, resistance-based buttons into the Dominator, and have them be different things that I want to do, whether it's a two-step activation or whatever. The clutch switch. The clutch switch does not go in to a start relay. The clutch switch goes over the Dominator. Dominator enables the relay, and the relay from the other side gets power from the starter button. And that's kind of like how new cars work in a way, but it allows you to throw a lot of conditions in. Once you get into the tune, you can adjust what things do and when they should do it. So if I show this here, my pin map shows that's all the inputs and that's all the outputs. But these all come into play when you go to program your ins and outs. Say you look at something like, this is inputs, that's not interesting. Outputs, you look at this and you see the transmission reverse relay. So that's the one that is a lockout relay to allow me to get into reverse. So in this case, when the clutch goes down and the vehicle speed is less than 10 miles per hour, I have the reverse lockout solenoid on the T56 gets out of the way and allows me to shift into reverse. And that's just how it works. Each one can have conditions that allow it to be better or smarter. Obviously, the brake light relay is not a very big deal because the brake lights just come on when the brake pedals is down. But I can use the brake pedal as conditions for how the line lock relay works. So I'm using the same input to do multiple things. If I go into the line lock relay, if I press the shifter button, I haven't got it set up all the way yet, the shifter button, and have the clutch to the floor, the line lock will activate. And so then I can let go of the shifter button, and when the clutch is to the floor, it'll still hold it. So right now I have it set up so there's single mode, so either one will do it. The shifter button will make the line lock stay on, or the clutch switch, and that turns into an automatic hill holder on the brakes. But I probably should put a condition where this doesn't turn on when the vehicle's actually moving. We don't want line lock to activate on every shift, so we should keep the speed, below some number we don't get too easy with shifter noise. Let's say, or with driveline speedometer noise, and we'll turn that off. So we have to be below 5 miles per hour, and if we have the shifter button down, which was that button on top of the shifter, then the line lock will activate and hold whatever pressure I have in the brake system and the front wheels, or if I have the clutch switch down, or if I have both. So even on a hill, this becomes a hill holder option. Not that you really care in a hot rod, but it's nice to have a hill holder on your clutch. I remember driving the first stock Subaru that had one of those. But anyways, these are the ways that I use, why I would make all these inputs come into one area, because then I can get smart with them. And the outputs are all controlled in a different area. But let me show you here. I'll get up my current documentation on some of the wiring that I'm doing. So this is the spreadsheet that I have set up with all the plugs on the different devices that I'm wiring. So these J2A and J2B, those are just inputs and outputs of the commonly used pins on the Dominator. And this is for the actual fuse box that's sitting right beside me here. You want a legend for that, otherwise you get in trouble. So So I left this in order. So this is the row of fuses, which is over there, and this is in the order of the row of relays, and etc. And so we label them. I give myself as many clues as I can about where the wiring goes. And this is a schematic that I made out of a Holley schematic, but I used Holley schematic parts to help me. I kind of cut and pasted the actual colors and such into this to make it all work. But if you take a look at something like that, that's obviously not how Holley would do it right here, but this is where I cut off from them. And then this is the new pin arrangement on a Ford plug for a Ford throttle body. But then I keep track of the wiring colors that wasn't written down there. And then I copied and pasted this better numbered connector so that I know exactly how it's laid out. And that's how you have, I left myself some notes on the side, and any wire colors that I changed are labeled over here. And so that leaves me with some evidence of what I'm doing, but it takes a lot longer to do the job. But in the future, it'll be easier to have, if I have to work on it. So we're still going hard at the interior here. We've got the dash trial fit. Trying to lay the console in over my wiring that I haven't totally tied up yet, but we're just trying to get a layout figured out that fits under the console. We went back under the dash here and we're trying to get the space all figured out here. I have a new carpet to put in, but obviously that goes under all of that gap there. But I guess the most important or interesting thing is the Holly dash is going to be behind this. So I took the factory cluster bezel, the back of it, and I cut it down to get the spacing about right so that it'll fit and bolt in. I haven't even bolted it down yet, but it fits pretty good. The radius in here is going to be a little wrong because that's got a curve to it, but and the middle of it's going to cover part of the dash. But I have a, it's a touch screen with programmable face, so I can move the stuff around. So as long as nothing's hiding under the bottom there, it'll look good in the background. So yeah, we're making way there. All right, we're making some progress here on the interior, getting the wiring cleaned up. We got the dash set back in, and just trying to make everything work. We got instrument cluster. It's working in there. Actually looks pretty good. And yeah, just kind of making it all fit. I had to do a lot of work on the other side. It's just so much wiring to put in with using the pre-made Coyote harness. Mostly means that you end up with needing to put this ECU somewhere, and underneath this seat seems to be the best spot. But then you end up with this wad of wires, so it's a bunch of riv nuts on the tunnel there. And I'm just going to throw the rug over it, and it should be far enough out of main foot traffic there, doesn't get kicked too much. Still got to deal with getting all the heater controls to work, but getting close. Alright, had a busy day here. Got most of the interior back together. We ended up with almost everything we need. We're short with this kick panel, but otherwise we kind of got a cover on everything. It's a gray car with, I'm starting to put black in it just because it's easier to live with as far as sitting on things. We'll put the seats in pretty soon. It'll be an interior. Well, here we are. It seems to be mostly a car again. So we've got a interior to work with. Ain't no showstopper. I do have black door cards and handles, and this handle was all beat up from previous roll bar things, so I got black door cards to put in it yet, but overall she's a lot fresher than she was. And I got this to fit pretty good with the roll bar. So yeah, I've got an interior, and now we get to sit in it. Not even that terrible. Got this cup holder center console doohickey with the armrest delete. Kind of don't mind having an armrest, but these ones are always broken. We got our shifter, the only kind of visibly non-stock thing in here. But yeah, we've got a car again.